Inside the Civic Center above the doorway where the remodeling of the art gallery rooms is taking place, was a U.S. Army World War II plaque which said, "Presented by the 14th Major Port U.S. Army in acknowledgement of the generosity of the Borough of Southampton which during the mayoralty of Rex Stranger gratuitously provided the section of the Civic Center for use as headquarters for the port." It was from here that orders emanated directing the movement of the vast American armies through Southampton and other South Coast ports between June 1944 and the end of hostilities in the Great War for the liberation of Europe. The word gratuitously was added as an in-joke between allies because there was a discussion at the time as to whether the U.S. Army should pay rent for using the rooms. Outside the entrance to the headquarters is another plaque describing the role of the U.S. Army headquarters on D-Day and during Operation Overlord. Because of the success it is easy to believe everything ran smoothly, but what really went on in these rooms? This is a GI account from the book published in 1947 called XII Corps, Spearhead of Patton'S Third Army, by Lieutenant Colonel George Dyer.
12th Corps operations in Braymore area, New Forest, Hampshire. Of course, when we moved to Braymore, says the Corps Company Sergeant, our only job was to get the 12th Corps and the 3rd Army to France. About 1/4 of Army had gone to France when we got down there. Major General John S. Wood was moving to France on the day I got down there. A shipping schedule had been worked out, but this broke down, due to some units being lost, others not arriving on time, or because of the inability to obtain proper equipment. Part of the company sergeant's job was that of making an educated guess as to just when a unit would be ready, and then assigning to it a shipping date. This schedule then had to be worked out with Bucco who ordered the shipping. To add to the confusion, phantom telephone calls would be received from Army requesting that certain units be immediately shipped. Sometimes these units were not ready or had not even arrived. The connections were always bad and guesses had to be made as to just what unit and strength were required. At other times units would be ready ahead of schedule and the Navy had to be persuaded to take them as soon as possible, the joint aim being to keep the boats running continuously. 12th Corps, acting for Army, practically took over Cheltenham SOS headquarters and ran it, but it required running the wheels off the jeeps to keep it going. What this meant in the 12th Company's staff sections has been excellently summarized by Major William B. Shop Shepherd, a friendly capable artillery officer out of Princeton, Fort Sill, and Leavenworth.
I was working in G3 troop movements, the hot seat for this operation, if ever there was one. We were responsible for moving all our corps, most of 3rd Army and 20 Corps across the channel. I never worked so hard in my life. The system for moving troops to the far shore was based on previously established priority tables, called build-up priority tables. There was Bucco, Build-Up Control Organization at Southampton and Little Bucco on the continent. Little Bucco informed Bucco what troops to move. Bucco then sent movement orders to the Transportation Corps, Embarco, and to us. Embarco was actually supposed to move the units to the marshalling area. If that system had worked, the job would have been simple, but unfortunately many units were not equipped when they received movement orders. So they would be bypassed. That is where the complications started and did not end until we developed a closely coordinated system using all the special staff sections concerned, plus very close cooperation between G3 and G4. It was necessary to maintain daily lists of units that were ready to ship. These were sent to Bucco and I supposed further sent to Little Bucco, then Little Bucco called only for units that our G4 had certified as being ready for movement. Our job was mostly a bookkeeping one, maintaining daily long status lists of what units were ready, which ones were short critical items of equipment, which were alerted for movement to the marshalling area, and which had actually landed on the far shore.
That the special staff as well as the general staff was being driven hard during these days is suggested in a recollection of Major Ed Johnson, on whose shoulders fell the ordnance burdens of the Z Group.
We had a devil of a time with spare parts and all their ordnance equipment in order to replace combat losses, but as it was they arrived about 75% complete. As a result we had to send them to the continent in a terrific rush and it was a race against time. The rear detachment did a wonderful job equipping the troops with artillery pieces to get them into the fight as quickly as possible.
Naturally, not only ordnance was devoting special concern to artillery problems. This is General Lentz's picture of what was going on from his angle.
We finally received a tremendous command. We were slated to cross the channel last. Due to the condition in France, all the timetables were pushed up, which created some confusion. I suddenly found that I had 48 battalions scattered all over England and I did not even know where some of them were. We had to get them equipped, listed on a priority list and get them across the channel. In order to do that we had to reorganize the supply setup, insofar as it related to artillery equipment. 12th Company's artillery also set up representation in General Lee's headquarters at Cheltenham. Thus, in a little more than the usual rat race, the last days of 12th Corps period in England sped by. The stupendous flights of bombers flying overhead, by night and day, as well as the very nature of the job in hand, served as constant reminders that there was a war going on over there, and that 12th Corps was heading for it.
12th Company's artillery also set up representation in General Lee's headquarters at Cheltenham. Thus, in a little more than the usual rat race, the last days of 12th Corps period in England sped by. The stupendous flights of bombers flying overhead, by night and day, as well as the very nature of the job in hand, served as constant reminders that there was a war going on over there, and that 12th Corps was heading for it.